What's up, everybody? Welcome to Metallicis, another album review. Today we're looking at August Burns Red, their new album Guardians. So as always, we'll start right in with the artwork. And I should preface, I haven't actually listened to August Burns Red before, so this is my first experience with them. So we'll see what we think here. Album art, a little bit more of realism. It looks like a wolf on the edge of a mountain, campfire on top. Doesn't really draw me that much. It's good artwork, realistic, and I think it's supposed to be symbolic of guarding nature. This album seems to be about sustainability and protecting the earth and that kind of a thing. So I think it must speak to something like that. The wolf could be some symbolism of predatory nature or something along those lines. I'm not always great at picking out the symbolism of things. I think it's just an okay album cover. I've heard of August Burns Red before. They're well known, so that's why I'm giving them a look. But this album cover by itself wouldn't get me to listen to the album. So I give it a 2. But what really matters is the music in the end, so let's talk about that. So this is very much a metalcore band. I do really like metalcore bands like Parkway Drive or As I Lay Dying. One thing I don't like about metalcore that I should preface my tastes here is a lot of them do that kind of start, stop, stutter kind of a thing. Is my best impression of it. And I'm not a fan of when they do that or when they're kind of going through scales and it just feels sporadic and not very melodious, where it's just like it doesn't feel, it's not emotive to me, it doesn't feel interesting to me, it just feels like they all sound the same, and they have a lot of that spun in here, so that's kind of turned me off from a lot of the album. But a lot of the songs are still really good. There's really strong heavy breakdowns. I think the singing is really excellent and I can understand what he's saying, and it has the aggression that you want in there. I think the guitarist writes some really great riffs. So there's a lot of really good stuff in this album. I think just my taste of not liking that particular aspect of metalcore makes me not like this album as much. So, but my highlight tracks are Bones, Paramount, Defender, and Three Fountains. So I think there's 4 really good songs on here that stick out to me. Defender probably being the strongest one. It's got a really cool guitar riff that goes with it, a really heavy breakdown that I really like, and it has a little bit of those stutter metalcore vibes to it. Paramount has just great riffage. It's just great guitar playing, and I really like that song just for that. And Bones has a cool line, "We made a deal with the devil," which isn't particularly unique in any way, but I just like the way he says it. It sounds cool, and so it makes the chorus really, really cool. And then there's a post-chorus kind of vibe that I really like that you should check out in that particular song. And it has a strong bass in it, which is interesting because I'm a guitar player, so I listen to guitar mostly, and then I really like vocals. Those are the 2 things I pay the most attention to. I actually don't usually notice the bass, but I noticed the bass in the song, and I was like, oh, this is a strong bass. So if it's sticking out to me, it must be pretty good, or at least appealing or noticeable. So those songs I'll give about a 4. Bloodletter, Extinct by Instinct, Empty Heaven are solid tracks, but they didn't really stand out to me. They didn't make me want to go back and listen to them again. And I think it just might be my personal preference. I think they're perfectly good songs, so I don't think they're filler or anything like that, but I would give those ones 3s. The narrative, I really like the lyrics to it, but the music itself didn't stick out to me, or I didn't find it interesting, so it didn't make the playlist for me. I give that one a 2.5. And then Lighthouse and Dismembered Memory and Ties That Bind were all just meh to me, so I gave them all 2s. So for me personally, in my personal preference, I would give this album a 2.5. It's not something that interests me that much. I put a couple of the songs in the playlist. I think it's just not my jam. But I do think it's a really good album. So in terms of quality of musicianship and of this music genre, I think it's actually a 4. So if you're a big fan of metalcore and you really like that sort of metalcore stutter vibe that I was talking about earlier, then this is a really strong album. The musicianship's excellent. I would give it a 4, trying to be as objective as possible, but for my personal preference, I give it a 2.5. So let me know what you all think in the comments below. If you like these videos, like and subscribe.